The snow crunched under your boots like brittle bones. -40 degrees Celsius. Your breath froze the instant it left your lips, turning into a white cloud that could get you killed. The Mosennagen's whip echoed across the frozen pines. Your comrade's head snapped back. A red mist sprayed across the snow, steaming for half a second before it froze solid. He dropped without a scream. You hit the ground, heart slamming against your ribs. Where? No muzzle flash. No movement. Just endless white. Another crack. The man beside you clutched his throat, gurgling, eyes wide with animal terror. Who the hell is out there? Someone screamed. No answer. Only the wind. Only the cold. Only death that came from nowhere, again and again. You pressed your face into the snow and prayed to a god you no longer believed in. This wasn't a battle. This was hunting. And the hunter's name was Simo Häyhä. They called him Biel Death. Chapter 1. The Frozen Hell. November 30th, 1939. The Soviet colossus smashed across the Finnish border. Stalin wanted Finland. He wanted its ports, its nickel, its pride. He thought it would take 2 weeks. The Red Army rolled forward with over 1 million men, 6,000 tanks, and 3,000 aircraft. The Finns had 250,000 soldiers, almost no armor, and a handful of obsolete planes. On paper, it was slaughter. In reality, it became hell on ice. The Soviets marched in summer greatcoats and thin boots. Their tanks bogged down in the deep snow. Their engines seized in the Arctic freeze. Frostbite blackened fingers and toes by the thousands. Finnish ski troops in white camouflage appeared like ghosts, cut the columns into pieces, and vanished. They called the tactic modi, firewood. Surround, starve, burn. Molotov cocktails, bottles of gasoline with burning rags, turned Soviet tanks into funeral pyres. The Finns even named them after Stalin's foreign minister. Dark humor in a dark war. The Red Army's arrogance died fast. Officers shot their own men for retreating. Stalin's purges had already murdered the best generals. What remained was a machine that knew how to advance, but not how to survive the white death of the Finnish forests. And in one quiet sector near Kollaa, a single rifle began to speak louder than entire divisions. Chapter 2. The Invisible Hunter. Simo Häyhä was 34 years old when the war started. A farmer from the village of Rautjärvi. Short, quiet, blue eyes that seemed too calm for a killer. He had grown up hunting elk and bear in these same woods. Joined the Civil Guard. Won marksmanship competitions with boring regularity. When the Soviets came, he simply picked up his rifle and went to work. No drama. No speeches. Just duty. His weapon was a Finnish Mosen-Nagant M28-30. Iron sights only. No telescopic scope. Scopes fogged in the cold. They reflected sunlight. They forced a sniper to lift his head higher and become a target. Simo wanted none of that. He dressed in layers of white. Buried himself in snow holes so only his eyes and rifle showed. Lay motionless for hours. Days. To hide his breath, he packed snow into his mouth and let it melt slowly. No telltale vapor rising in the still air. To hide his shots, he poured water on the snow directly in front of his muzzle. It froze into a solid crust. When the rifle barked, no betraying puff of powder snow rose to mark his position. He drank melted snow. Ate frozen bread. Slept in the open. His daily routine was simple. Wake before dawn. Crawl to a new hide. Wait. 1 shot. 1 kill. Move before the artillery could answer. In 100 days he recorded 259 confirmed sniper kills with that single rifle. Another 219 with a Suomi submachine gun when the Soviets got too close. Some Finnish officers quietly estimated his total above 500. 500 men. 1 rifle. 1 man who never missed. Chapter 3. The Soviet Nightmare. The Soviets began to break. Whole companies refused to advance into certain patches of forest. They whispered the name like a curse. Bielaya Smirt. The White Death. They painted giant bullseyes on trees hoping he would shoot at them and reveal himself. He never did. They sent entire platoons of their best snipers to hunt him. None returned. They called in artillery strikes on single suspected positions. Shells rained for hours, shredding pine trees into splinters, just to kill 1 invisible farmer. They tried poison gas. They tried airstrikes. Nothing worked. The psychological toll was worse than the bullets. Soviet soldiers wrote letters home describing an enemy who never slept, never ate, never showed fear. A ghost in white who killed with a single, merciless crack. One captured Soviet officer later admitted, "We felt him watching us even when we were miles from the front. The forest itself had eyes." Simo never spoke about the kills, never bragged. He simply kept shooting. The Red Army offered rewards. Rumors of 100,000 ruble bounty. It didn't matter. No one could find him. He was the living embodiment of Finnish Sisu, that unbreakable, almost insane will to fight when every sane man would quit. And the Soviets were learning that Sisu was colder than any Finnish winter. Chapter 4. The Exploding Bullet. March 6, 1940. The war was almost over. Peace talks had already begun in Moscow. But the killing continued. Simo was in his hide near the Kollaa River. Soviet pressure had intensified. Waves of infantry charged across the open snow. He was firing steadily, picking off officers, machine gunners, anyone who tried to rally the attack. His rifle was hot despite the cold. Then it happened. A secret shot from the Soviet lines. Not an ordinary bullet. An explosive round, the kind meant for light armor or to cause maximum horror. It struck him square in the lower left jaw. The explosion tore half his face away. Bone shattered. Teeth vaporized. Blood flooded his throat. He collapsed into the snow, unconscious before he hit the ground. His comrades dragged him back under fire. The field surgeons looked at what remained of his face and shook their heads. They did what they could. Packed the wound. Sent him rearward. He lay in a coma for 7 days. On March 13, 1940, the guns finally fell silent. The Winter War was over. Finland had lost territory, but kept its independence. That same morning, Simo Häyhä opened his remaining eye. He had survived. The White Death had outlived the war itself. After the war, Simo returned to the farm. No medals on his chest for show. No interviews. Just quiet days raising dogs and tending crops. The man who had become a legend never called himself one. He was a farmer who did his duty when his country called. His face never fully healed. He spoke with difficulty for the rest of his life. But he lived to 96. Today, his story is still told in the frozen forests of Finland. A reminder that one man with a rifle and unbreakable will can change the course of history. If you want to see the madness that led to other World War II disasters, the arrogance, the purges, the frozen graves that came next, click the video on your screen right now. The cold is waiting.